Welcome. I'm glad you made it. We are here for the part one. This is actually going to be a two-part for after the meltdown. So as we look at our slides, I've got three areas that we're going to cover: prevention, intervention, post-vention. Another word for post-vention, another name for post-vention would be instructional strategies. Oftentimes teachers ask, but what do I do after the crisis? What do I do after the meltdown? That's what we're going to cover today. That's what we're going to cover. So as we go through this, I do want to welcome back all the friends who came back from the March webcast. Wish I could see you, but we're going to build on what we learned at that point, but I'm still going to refer back to some of the things that we learned in that first webcast, particularly power cards and keychain rules. Here is our agenda. Just as we would for a student with an autism spectrum disorder, we would want an agenda. We would want a schedule. And you're going to notice on this agenda that I have very few times. And I bet you can figure out why I don't have times. This is similar to a student who would be on an autism spectrum disorder. Oftentimes, if we put the scheduled times and we go 1 minute over or stop 1 minute ahead of time, you might see some anxiety. That's just a prevention strategy, just a way of helping our students and supporting our students. We are going to look at a video of a meltdown, as well as two things: tantrums versus meltdowns, the difference between those two things. And then we're going to get into the prevention, intervention, and post-vention strategies. I'm going to share with you a video clip of a young lady. I'm going to share it with you right away. A young lady who has a meltdown during her gifted and talented classroom. You're going to meet Eloise throughout this webcast, and you're going to see several strategies that she already has in place in her regular second grade classroom. Twice a week she goes to her gifted and talented program. The teacher is there twice a week. We had done training on this campus for all the strategies that you see right there in the back of your handout, your prevention, intervention, and post-vention strategies. So when I did this video for Bureau of Education and the cameras came in, the day before we went to that gifted and talented program, I was talking to the GT teacher and asking her what strategies will she be demonstrating that she uses with Eloise. And the teacher said, oh, she doesn't need any of those things in here. And of course my heart just kind of stopped beating, thinking, oh my gosh, this is going to be shown in front of the nation. Well, sure enough, she has a meltdown right there in front of the cameras. So that's the very first thing I'm going to show you, because throughout the rest of this seminar and part two, I want you to be thinking about what could we have done? What could I do if I was that teacher or that counselor or that assistant or that administrator? If I was the one escorting Eloise out of that classroom, what kinds of instructional consequences would I give her? So here is the video.
The sign says, the way to divergent thinking. First rule, the more ideas, the better. That is called fluency. When I first met Eloise at the beginning of the school year, she was not part of the gifted and talented program. We did do screening and testing with her. She qualified very easily.
In this gifted and talented classroom, Eloise is working in a group of 4 to brainstorm words that contain the core word, ring.
A ring holder.
Ring holder?
Yeah.
Oh, like at a wedding?
Yeah.
I never heard of a doorbell. What else? Ring-a-ring. Ring-a-ling.
That could work.
You are doing very well.
String. String. It has a ring. String. Okay, string.
Because Eloise is allowed to do all the writing, the group activity goes smoothly.
She's extremely bright. She has Asperger's syndrome. Very, very social in that she interacts with people a whole lot, but it's not appropriate. You know, she's very bossy with kids.
Okay, let's count them up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right, right 7.
And I get to do original.
Eloise controls the group's decision-making and turn-taking.
Ring-a-ling.
And string.
Kind of.
Let's think about that.
Okay. String. No. Can we just do ring-a-ling?
Yeah, let's do ring-a-ling. Yeah, ring-a-ling sounds good. Okay.
Okay.
3, 6, 9, 12.
As a group member starts to add up their points, Eloise becomes distressed.
I want to add it up. I want to add it up.
When the student directly challenges her behavior, Eloise becomes more agitated and quickly loses control.
You wrote that 9.
Evie.
You wrote it.
I just wrote over it.
Okay,
You
guys.
wrote the 9.
No,
Guys.
you wrote the 9.
Hold on.
He wrote the 9.
Time out.
No.
Time out. We're going to take a time
You
out.
wrote the 9 already.
Take a time out. Okay. What I want you guys to do.
He wrote the 9 and he said he did. Come here.
That is.
The teacher provides a safety barrier and removes the targeted student before calling the special educator for assistance.
To de-escalate a situation where Eloise is blowing up, she has totally lost control. There's certain steps that seem to work most of the time, probably 90% of the time, is to get her out of the situation, first of all, remove her from that room, remove her to a safe place. It typically has to be a place with no one else.
I stopped it deliberately at that point. The special ed teacher did escort her out. As I said, Laura did everything correctly. She had a plan in place where they either used walkie-talkies to alert someone, or in this case, the walkie-talkies didn't work, so they had plan B in place where the red construction paper with that teacher's name was sent, and it was directly given by another child to the special ed teacher, who came immediately to escort her out. Now, at that point, two things could have happened. Either Eloise would have refused to have been escorted out, which in that case, for those of you who've been through some crisis prevention, you'll realize that at that point it's clearing the room, getting everybody else out of the room. But luckily, she did go, and they went into a room where she was calm, became calm, and that's when the instructional consequences, which you're not going to see yet because that's going to be your job to come up with some instructional consequences as we go through the next two seminars. When we look at the meltdown cycle, you're going to see all the way, and you notice on the left-hand side of that volcano, this is when, oh my gosh, I'm starting to escalate, and then the 4, and that's where you saw Eloise, is right there at the 4. Instructional consequences are not provided or not given until about a 7. At a 5, you may escalate things. At a 6, it may still be a little too soon. So you've got to wait till that student is totally calmed down before you finally provide those instructional consequences. That might mean that it's not that day. It might mean that it's still too soon. It could be the next morning, it could be the next day. But bottom line, don't just sweep it under the floor as if nothing ever occurred. So this is our meltdown cycle, and we're going to be looking very closely at that meltdown cycle as we go through this webcast. On here, you're going to see the 3 areas right there, prevention strategies. Obviously, we've got the prevention strategies, the intervention strategies, post-vention strategies, what to do for the full meltdown. All 3 of them are going to be needed. They're all going to be needed because oftentimes when we use the prevention strategies, that's when you're going to be able to prevent what's going on. Gary Mezebov, according to the slide right here, will say that 90 to 99% of all behavior problems with autism can be prevented if appropriate visual strategies are in place. And of course, the problem is predicting the problem. With some of our students, that can be very unpredictable. So when do we start the prevention strategies? Well, as I said in my March webcast, I gave you lots and lots of prevention strategies using the high interest areas. As we go through this one, we're going to be looking at some more. Here's some warnings of an eruption. These are the signs that you might see. That pacing back and forth. It might be wringing their hands. They may be increasing some of the flapping of their hands, some of the self-talking, especially with our kids who are high intelligence and have huge vocabularies. They may start talking more and more to themselves. This is where those high interest areas, they may start talking more about their video games. They may start talking about dinosaurs, if they're into Egyptology, and going over and over. These are all of your signs, your cues that, he's starting to escalate. When he repeats those words over and over, cognitive breakdowns can also occur. Previous questions that he was able to respond to, things like, what's your name? Where do you live? Those may be some of those cognitive breakdowns where he no longer, and it's actually very stressful for him to come up with some of these. Stuttering, showing pressured speech. Much of this information is taken from Deborah Lipsky, who wrote a wonderful book that I highly recommend called Managing Meltdowns, Using the Scared Calming Techniques with Children and Adults with Autism. It's actually referenced right there at the bottom of your overhead. Another one that we might see, and in this overhead you see extreme resistance, just disengaging from a ritual or routine. We can actually see that student escalating with something he dearly loves. With this kindergartner, he dearly loves that computer, and now you're asking him to get away from that and go check his schedule. We talked earlier in another webcast about transition markers. I'm going to talk a little bit more about that as well as we go through this session too. You're going to see on the screen Dr. Quackmore. Now, I'm Dr. Quackmore, and I'm just going to ask you in the audience to pretend, that you have some ache. You've got maybe a ingrown toenail that you're coming to me for. It might be that you've had headaches for days. It might mean that you've got a broken arm. Well, I'm Dr. Quackmore, and you're coming to me, and I just right away reassure you, I can fix that. I can fix that. I know how to. Last week, I gave a surgery on gallbladder, and I took out that person's gallbladder, and that's exactly what I'm going to do for you. I'm going to take out your gallbladder. Now, how many of you would come back to me? Probably zero. Probably zero. Now, the reason for that is because I didn't figure out what was it that you were coming to me for. That's the same thing when we look at the needs. We've got to look at what is the need, what is the function. An old standby from Rudolph Dreikurs is meet the need and the behavior extinguishes itself. So as we go through this webcast, I'm going to be talking about a lot of needs that will be met using some of the visual strategies. In the back of your handout, you have some resources. That page with prevention, intervention, and then post-vention. You're going to have a lot of resources right there. And even though it looks like I'm spending a lot of time on prevention strategies, what you're going to realize is those strategies that are right there in the prevention column then may become your post-vention strategies. They may actually originally were your instructional consequences. You may have written a power card as a result of a behavior. You may have written a social story as a result of a particular behavior, or a keychain rule, or socks, or some of the other strategies that I'm going to be talking about today. And then those strategies now become your prevention strategies. That's the beauty of it's almost like a cycle as we go through this. Looking at some of the functions of behavior. Four, we're looking at sensory. We're also looking at attention, escape, and avoidance. He starts something and then he no longer wants to do it. or he never even starts it. He has no desire to start it whatsoever, that motivation factor right there. And then finally, the fourth one, something tangible. Oftentimes when there's communication breakdowns or there's lack of communication, then we see that it's very difficult, that they're asking for something but they have no way of getting it. So they resort to hitting or biting or maybe even some self-injurious behaviors. With all of these, we first have to figure out what is the function of the behavior. And this is not the webcast for that, but just to let you know, somewhere along the line, you've got to figure this out. One of the tools that I would recommend is the Motivation Assessment Scale. It is by Mark Duran. It's a simple assessment that can be given across the board with several different raters, several different people who know that student quite well. It may even be the observer if they're able to observe those behaviors during that time. But this might be one technique of narrowing down the behavior. Some of the prevention strategies, and these are listed right there again in the back of your handout. You're going to notice some of the components from the TEACH program, your physical structure, how you arrange your classroom, looking at schedules, individual schedules, as well as classroom schedules. We're going to look at some mini schedules, some work systems. You know, I do job A, job B, job C, and then I get my reinforcer. Transition markers we're also going to hit on as well today. A visual cue that will give that student, go check your schedule. That will tell them you need to go check your schedule. Communication systems, power cards, social scripts, all of these that you see listed here, these are actually prevention strategies. They're meant to be used consistently. They're meant to be used on a daily basis. It may not be just one. You may have several of these strategies in place. What we know about our students oftentimes is that one strategy may work for a while, and then it no longer becomes a viable strategy. They get tired of it, or their interest changes. So that's why you've got to have lots and lots of prevention strategies in place. Then we also see some more prevention strategies. On this slide, you're going to see the behavior flip book. You know, find out what their interests are. You know, in the first seminar that we did in March, we talked about the high interest levels. And there's such a way of including those high interest levels. And then you're also going to see some others right here. The timer, transition markers, you're seeing some more. Right now I'm going to share with you a video on a couple of strategies. One is on the power cards, and you're going to see real teachers using them with real children in the classroom. And you're also going to see another strategy called the Keychain rules. Both strategies were written as an instructional consequence for these particular students. And now they're being used as prevention strategies, consistently, read every day, and reviewed every day. You're going to see the Keychain rules used with Eloise in her regular second grade classroom as an intervention strategy. So you're going to see several techniques used. The first one you're going to see will be power cards, and it's using a high interest area, maybe even an obsession that uses that character so that student will emulate the positive behavior. So you're going to see how they're using this on an elementary campus.
Who's that?
Spider-Man.
You like him, don't you? Yeah. Nathan works hard like Spider-Man.
Power cards are an ideal strategy to use with students who have strong interests or obsessions.
A power card uses the favorite character of that student. It may be an obsession, it may be a cartoon character, a movie star, but the point is we want that student to emulate the positive behavior of whatever character it is he chooses.
I will be like Spider-Man. I will get up and go to school every day.
Power cards connect the character, the student, and the desired behavior.
I will be like Spider-Man and work hard at school every day. So Nathan, this morning, did you complain about coming to school? Did you complain? No? Did you tell Mom, I don't want to come to school? Good job. Good.
Horses are responsible animals.
Power cards are small enough to fit in a pocket or sit on a desktop and are always illustrated.
I can be responsible like a horse.
Like social stories, power cards contain clear I statements that describe appropriate behavior.
I will stay with the other kids. I will not go too fast or too slow. Horses are very responsible, and I am too.
And when you're thirsty.
For a student without strong interests, the power card consists of an I statement and a visual demonstrating the desired behavior. Just like social stories, power cards need to be reviewed daily. Because the cards are brief, they can be read with a buddy.
When I need help, I will raise my hand and wait for someone to help me.
So you guys are always going to start with 25?
Power cards are excellent tools for redirecting behavior in a non-confrontive way.
Daniel, take a look. Are you connected with your partners right now?
Yes.
You are? If you're connected, are you making funny sounds?
No.
Okay, I want you to read this then.
Daniel's power card takes advantage of his keen interest in electricity to help him connect with peers.
To do my best work, I must be connected. This means that I must connect with people by giving eye contact.
By having Daniel read the power card, the teacher reminds him of the desired behavior and avoids auditory overload.
Another intervention strategy that is quite quick may be just coming over to tap on that student's power card or social story to remind the student to follow the behavior.
Can I read it?
If students tire of or reject social stories and power cards,
See this? Do not read this.
teachers will need additional strategies for prevention and intervention.
It is vital for our teachers to have a toolkit, to have some sort of array of strategies that will meet the needs of these students, mainly because on one particular day, a particular strategy may not work. What you noticed from the power cards is that it was used not only as a prevention strategy, but then also one of the second grade teachers used it as an intervention strategy for a student who was not connected during that group time. And so she used that power card of electricity, which is one of his high interest areas. So you saw it not only as a prevention strategy, but as an intervention strategy, but they were all made as instructional consequences, as a post-vention strategy. They're used consistently on a daily basis during the calm time. In this next video, you're going to see another visual strategy, and it's called Keychain rules. Keychain rules originally were done on the outline of a key. And those keychain rules, those specific rules for that student, were then put together on a key ring. This might be appropriate for a pre-K student or a kindergarten student, or maybe even all the way to first grade and second grade. In the video, you're going to see Eloise again. She is in her second grade classroom, her general ed second grade classroom, where she has a lot of strategies in place. She not only has the keychain rules, she also has power cards, she has her schedule, she has many sensory things like her therapy, her wiggle cushion. She also has a lot of visual reminders that the two teachers who were in that classroom are using with her. Eloise loves keychain rules, but she thought that the outline of the key was way too cutesy. So that's why we did it on the different colored card stock. She uses her keychain rules every single day, and then reads over them the first thing when she comes in the morning. And now you're going to see the teacher using these as intervention strategies.
Eloise.
It's about the whole class, not just one person, because if it's one person, you just go up and talk to them and like use the iMessage.
I have a student who's very bright. She has Asperger's syndrome, and she has had interventions before with a lot of social stories. She's tired of social stories. She doesn't like the length of them, but she needs reminders about rules. And when we heard about keychain rules, we thought, hey, that's it. Let's try something new and something different with her. Because sometimes that pretend play is being horses, or being babies, or being kitties, or being ninjas. Okay? I need you to get your keychain rules and remember that we have a rule for taking turns. Everyone gets a chance. Can you find that number?
Yes.
What number is it?
1.
Thank you. Number.
Keychain rules are short statements that target a specific behavior and provide clear direction.
It was helpful in that we would sit down with her and she would help to make up the keychain rules. She kind of took ownership of it.
They got oatmeal and milk. Oatmeal and eggs.
Okay.
They got oatmeal and eggs.
Just like power cards, keychain rules are small and easy to keep close at hand.
Well, they didn't get milk. Milk?
Well, put a question mark. They got some milk there?
They didn't get milk. Oatmeal.
I need you to remember that other people may say things.
Some cookies and milk. Mark loves big crunchy oatmeal.
Someone else says it incorrectly. That's okay. That's okay.
The teacher calls attention to a specific keychain rule to fit the situation, and then quickly moves on, and so does Eloise.
Recipe. Something else that happened in the story. Yes.
It's before all of that.
That's fine.
They got hungry.
They were hungry.
As you've noticed, she uses these. She loves her keychain rules, and these are present in her gen ed classroom. She does not have those when she goes into that GT classroom, that gifted and talented program, nor does she have her other visual strategies in place. So keeping that in mind, if you were that teacher who had escorted her out, what would be an instructional consequence? By the way, just as an aside, Eloise had over 40 keychain rules by the end of the school year, and most of them she had written herself, either on how to get along with her brother or different rules about going into different teachers' classrooms. I bring 2 pencils to Mrs. Kwan's class. Both of them are sharpened. I don't get up until one of them, but both of them are broken. And in Mrs. Alice's class, I can get up any time to sharpen my pencils. It just kind of gives you an insight on how her brain works. The other piece, too, is no matter how smart our kids are, and Eloise is at that brilliant level of intelligence, they still need these visual strategies. It's very, very easy to fall in the trap of saying, well, he's so smart, he shouldn't need these things. And that's why oftentimes Asperger's is called the he should know better syndrome. He should know better. He's so smart. This is why we want to ensure that throughout our students, our children's careers, and maybe even on into their college years, they still might need some visual strategies. It may look different as they get older, but the key is that they still have these strategies in place. Let's go ahead and look at some more strategies that can be either used as post-prevention, intervention, or post-vention strategies. When we talked about the meltdown, there was Eloise right there at the top, right there at a 4. In order to provide some of those instructional consequences, it's not going to be until a 7 when we finally provide some of those instructional consequences. But you noticed with Eloise, she was right there at maybe at a 1, and then the teacher intervened probably about a 2, right there about a 2, before she started escalating to the point that she got to a 4. Twice during that day, she was using her keychain rules as an intervention. So those are some of the things that we want to keep in mind. Some of the other intervention strategies and some of the post-vention strategies, some of the instructional consequences. That's the good news. Just as I said, many of those intervention strategies, prevention strategies and intervention strategies then become the post-vention strategies, those instructional consequences. One of the things we've got to help realize is what is the difference between a tantrum, a temper tantrum, and a meltdown. In the next 2 videos, I want you to be thinking about, is this the meltdown or is this the tantrum? For many of our kids, when they go into a meltdown, they are no longer aware of what is going on around them. When you saw Eloise, she was no longer aware. Her auditory processing had shut down. Here is the teacher trying to ask her to calm down, let's regroup, trying to give her some auditory feedback, some verbal feedback, and it wasn't working. She was beyond that. She was totally in that meltdown. So in this next video, and this is just a joke, but I just want you to look at it and decide, is this a tantrum or is this a meltdown? Oh, yeah, and yes, I think you figured out that that last one was a tantrum. It was definitely a tantrum. Hopefully you also figured out it's a tantrum because he wanted the attention. You notice that not only did the mother ignore him, but the dog ignored him too. And he was still trying to get that attention. So in this next one, it's going to be obvious to you that it is a meltdown. So here we go.
Maddie, stop it. Come on, let's go get on the potty. Don't bang your head. We can't go to the concert until you go potty.
Maddie, yeah.
Come on, shut the door. Let's go potty. Pizza, he might hit you, so don't go near him, okay? Go get yourself washed. Come on. We just had to drop Britt off, honey. It's okay, come on. The concert doesn't start for 1 hour. We got plenty of time, okay? Come on. Come on, little man. Let's go get on the toilet. Shut the door. It's icky right there. It's dirty. Come on. Maddie, let's go get washed. Maddie, I can tell you're not crying anymore. Come on. Why don't you get up and go get on the toilet? Come on. Come on, buddy. If you want to go to the concert, you got to get up and get ready to go. Come on. Put the rug back. Quit trying to destroy stuff. Put it back. All right, come on. Hey, come on. Come on, I can tell that's not real. Come on. Go get on the potty. Come on, son. Alright, Mom's gonna shut the door, so you need to move. Come on. Come on. You gotta shut the door. Maddie, no. No, come on, let's shut the door. Get your head off the screen. Come on. Lock that so we can't get through the door anymore. Come on. No, don't hit it. Hey. Hop up, let's go get ready. Do you want to go see Brittany do her concert? Do you want to go see Brittany? If If you want to go see Brittany sing at her concert, you need to go get on the toilet. Come on, let's go take a potty break. Come on. You're too big for me to carry, so you got to get up like a big boy and go to the bathroom. Okay, Mom's gonna leave now. Alright, when you're done, wash your face up with it, get a tissue, and wipe your nose and go get on the toilet, okay?
This is a child who obviously is so out of control, and the whole time the mother is talking to him and asking him to calm down. And you'll notice that the whole time she's talking, and at one point you just want to go, shut up, you're talking too much. Once there's that meltdown, there's not a whole lot you can do. It's letting it run its course, make sure he doesn't hurt himself, make sure he doesn't hurt somebody else. This is a child in this video who may be at a lower cognitive functioning level, so it's very obvious it's a meltdown. It could be because he's on sensory overload. Oftentimes what occurs is that some of our children will go into that meltdown because of that sensory overload. With that in mind, let's go to some of these instructional consequences. When you look at the instructional consequences after meltdown, these look almost the same as the prevention strategies. You know, it might be we've got to physically structure an area. We've got to implement using those schedules more consistently. All of these right here were the same strategies you used, we saw on that slide for prevention. Some of the things that we didn't see on the first slide were T-charts. We're going to go over some T-charts today. T-charts are usually only an instructional consequence. We're not able to foresee or predict what our kids are doing, but certainly after it's all over with, we can sit down with them and review what was the inappropriate behavior and what would be the appropriate behavior. Some other things you're going to see: cartooning, social autopsies, feelings chart. Some of these right here are all instructional consequences after the meltdown. And remember, they've got to be at about a 7. You know, when you're doing it at a 5 on that right-hand side of the volcano, 5 or 6 may be too early, and in fact, you may actually escalate them at that point. In this next slide, you're going to see several ways of meeting the need. Earlier we referred back to Rudolf Dreicher with meet the need, and the behavior extinguishes itself. Well, here are some strategies to meet, and the very first thing we're going to look at are addressing some of the sensory needs, those sensory needs. In that last video with the little boy over there by the doorway having his meltdown, more than likely he was on overstimulation. At that point, he had that meltdown. Because our kids have such high sensory needs, oftentimes, it might be the noise levels. They may be tired. It might be a physiological need. It might be the temperature. It may be too many visuals going on, too much overstimulation. So the very first thing we're going to look at is addressing some of those sensory needs, and we might even be looking at some of that through physical structure. This next video clip is a video clip on a young man who was in college who did this to show what it feels like when he's overstimulated. His high interest level are the transformers. He loves the transformers. So you're going to see him using the transformers as an example of what occurs when he is overstimulated. It is so valuable because Jace, this young man, is so intelligent. He can explain, you know, now at 24 years old, 25 years old, what it feels like to be overstimulated. So I'm going to share with you this video.
with the ceremony.
Oh, shit! What are we gonna do now?
Underestimate me.
Who disrupts my coronation?
Bottom line, when we look at change, anytime there's change, and it can even be a pleasant change. It can be, here come the PTA ladies and they're coming through passing out Valentine cookies during your 4th grade class, math class, and you're thinking, this is a surprise to me. I didn't know they were going to do this. Even though it could be a pleasant surprise, it could still be change. And anytime, as we see from this slide, that there's change, that change might equal stress. And when that stress level increases, what the neurology of the brain shows us in people with autism is that they are in a chronic state of overarousal. Think back to a time when you might have been under stress. And hopefully nobody in here is going to say, I've never been under stress. But most of us at some point in our lives have been under stress. And you may have been under a chronic state of stress. It may have been because you were going through a divorce. It might be because someone, a dear one, a loved one, is going through a terminal illness. You might have an illness. It might be IRS is after you. I mean, there are many states of that chronic state of distress. So you think about how you feel when you're under that chronic state of distress. You realize, I'm not thinking clearly. I'm more irritable than I usually am. I lose things. I can't find my keys. With our students with an autism spectrum disorder, when they're under that chronic state of overarousal, they're holding it together. And now you introduce change. You introduce something that's going to add to their stress. So here are some ways of minimizing the effects of change through structure. So through these next few slides, let's look at minimizing the effects of change through structure. This young man was quite distractible. So he was roaming around the classroom. It was very difficult for him to focus on his work. So the teacher did put some physical structure in place, and she also addressed some of his sensory needs. He was bouncing around the classroom, so he was given the choice of either bouncing on a chair or he also had this therapy ball that the occupational therapist graciously suggested. What she found out is he consistently asked for this therapy ball to sit on. It goes back to meet the need and the behavior will extinguish itself. When he had his sensory needs, his need for movement met, he could then focus more on his work. And in this next slide, you can actually see the difference with the before and after in his handwriting. And yes, it's still dysgraphic, but he actually finished it in a quicker amount of time. On the right-hand side, with the before, it's very painstaking, and on the left-hand side, it's actually legible. It's a big difference. The other thing, too, is he's proud of himself. You know, it wasn't somebody always having to tell him to get back to work, and that's just a little bit of that physical structure, and you add that sensory issue within. You physically structure for their sensory issues. She had the carol up there, she had the therapy ball, so she was meeting some of his needs. Ball chairs, and there's many different ball chairs, as well as wiggle cushions that many of you already might use, some of the elastic bands. This is a young man who has two desks. Okay. This is a third grader who had so much stuff. And as he would bring his stuff in, he had his social stories, he had his Godzilla, he had all his dinosaurs, all that stuff. Now the beauty of this is that Chris got two desks. Do you think the rest of the kids in the classroom were asking, why does Christopher get two desks and we only get one? Well, the beauty of it is they didn't ask that. They've seen Christopher in action. They saw Christopher come in. They saw him put his head in a backpack and never come out of that backpack and then come back to his desk with his head in a backpack the whole time. Once he was given a hat to wear instead of his backpack, then he became so much more focused, and also having that the two desks that he was given in order to focus on putting his stuff where it was needed, that he could keep all his stuff there with him. That helped alleviate much of his anxiety. Also, going back to the picture, I want you to notice that he's holding this piece of paper in his hand. That's his Godzilla. Every morning he would come in and snip, snip, snip. He would fold that paper and he would cut out his Godzilla. And then he would take his Godzilla in his hand and he'd flick with it while he did his work. Well, initially the teacher thought, maybe I need to have him do his work first and then he gets his Godzilla. But what she found out very wisely was that he actually needs his Godzilla right there in his hand to flick it, because that actually kept him focused on his work, and so he was able to focus. It's just almost a reverse of the first then. When you think first then, he's got to first work, then he's got to. For her, she realized that in order to meet his sensory issues, he needs his Godzilla, and that was just part of the program. And again, this is in a general education classroom that was needed. Looking at how to set your classroom up. Do you dream of a classroom where every child can learn? Having a nook or space, having some place where he can retreat, where it might be so noisy. And it might be just an area that's cordoned off, using that physical structure with maybe a little carrel, a little area that's a break area, a place where he can still go listen. Same thing, is there a lot of movement going on? Because oftentimes getting up and moving around, having that gallery walk so that students can look at other people's work or look at the work that's on the wall, moving around can be very, very important as well. Kids in motion aren't commotion. This is Hansi. He went to Australia every once in a while. And for this first grader, there's a place in the classroom with an area, and they had read Alexander and the Very Horrible, Terrible Day. I forgot what the name of the book is, but that's when they decided to implement in Australia in the classroom. And oftentimes Hansi would use it, but Hansi wasn't the only student in the classroom to use it. There were other students sometimes who could go to Australia as well, times when they felt overstimulated. And sometimes the teacher would say she needed to go to Australia too. So, and luckily, okay. Bottom line, when our kids are overstimulated, here are the implications. You know, you're going to have withdrawal to the point. And on the left-hand side, you see maybe that overwhelm, that withdrawal to the point that is inappropriate, that he finally has a meltdown. While Hansi over here may be overstimulated, but then he can go to Australia. And that's an appropriate place just to withdraw, come back. He can still listen to everything that's going on in the classroom, but he has his own private area. And of course, we know many of our students with their sensitivity to sounds, you know, having earphones available for some of our students. Break cards. This was one that was done on business cards. And because he had such a high interest area in cars, this is one of the reasons we did the cars, his NASCARs. And if you'll notice on this, it's an I need a break. And several, I'm going to walk one time around the building. Maybe I need 2 times around the building. Maybe I need 3 times around the building before I finally calm down. Maybe I need a minute, 5 minutes. Again, he may choose at first how long he needs, you know, how many times around the building he might need. This is an example of a young man who needed a break, and he's being taught how to take a break appropriately. He had gotten to probably he was escalating from a 2 level to a 3 level, and any minute now he was going up to that 4 level on that volcano. So in this video, you're going to see me escorting out of the room to let's take a break. This is a technique called walk, don't talk. It's by Brenda Smith-Miles, and it's one that I've used quite extensively. Walk, don't talk. When you get outside the classroom and you're either walking around the building or the football field or wherever, don't say anything and walk fast. And as much as possible, because that movement is what it may take in order to help that student calm down. So here's the video on Let's Take a Break.
Let's get your step and we'll go away. Ready? This is S like smile. Let's have this. He's like, where are you?
Throughout this seminar, you saw some prevention strategies that were originally instructional consequences that then were also used as intervention strategies. The important piece to remember is that these are taught during the calm. They may have been introduced at the time when that student was at that 7 after the meltdown. As I said, it's best to do it maybe the next day, but make sure he's calm when you introduce these. I'm going to end this seminar with something, one of my favorites. Every child can learn, just not on the same day or the same way. Thank you very much, and hopefully you'll join us again for part 2, because then we're going to see Eloise again, and you're also going to see her instructional consequences. So I hope this has given you some tools to think about, if you were the teacher, what would you do with Eloise? Thank you very much.